This is Southwest Florida in focus. Coming up, migrant detentions are reaching record high numbers, and a new report details the surge in children that are winding up in federally protected shelters. 3 years after Hurricane Ian blasted through Matlacha, the once vibrant art community reinstitutes an island tradition. And a look back at the nearly 100 years of memories that Dunbar High School provided to the Fort Myers Black community. Hello, I'm Teddy Byrne. Thank you for joining us. The continuing efforts from the federal government to target what they claim is illegal immigration has reached a new high. According to a report from Trac Reports, a data gathering and research organization, there were more than 65,000 people being held in immigration and customs enforcement detention centers mid-November, surpassing previous records. Of those detained, over 73% had no criminal conviction, committing only minor offenses, including traffic violations. A new report sheds light on that children have been caught in the crosshairs on the focus of illegal immigration. An article from ProPublica has found that ICE has sent more immigrant children into federal shelters than the previous 4 years combined. They report that over 600 immigrant children have been displaced by ICE, the highest number since record-keeping began a decade ago. This has led to families being separated and children spending up to 6 months in federal shelter. For more on the increase in immigrant children detentions, we are joined by Mario Ariza, a reporter for ProPublica. Thank you, Mr. Ariza, for joining us.
My pleasure, Teddy. Thanks so much for having me.
So this has become a nationwide issue, but your report has had a heavy focus on Florida's role in the detention of migrants. How has the policies from the federal government trickled down to the state's enforcement of their own laws?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, Florida and the federal government's new push for immigration detention and to get migrants out of the country, they're working hand in hand in a way that few other states are. Florida passed a series of laws last January that really solidified the cooperation between state police and local police and federal immigration authorities. This has led to an increase in the amount of children who are being picked up by Florida police, handed over to immigration authorities, and ending up in federal detention for unaccompanied minors. These are often children who either came here as an unaccompanied minor themselves many years ago and had been given to a custodian to take care of, often a family member. So there's essentially some families being separated again.
So it was noted in your report that in Florida, if a child is found alone or in danger, the police are required to contact the state's Department of Children and Families. But you are finding that it's different now and they are going directly to ICE. So what kind of precedent is this setting?
Yeah, that's a great question, Teddy. So I think there needs to be further reporting, and I would call on media organizations across the state to look into whether or not Florida police are contacting the Department of Children's and Families when they encounter an undocumented migrant child who they believe may be alone, abused, or abandoned. We were not able to establish whether or not the Florida Highway Patrol officers involved in these 24 traffic stops that we documented, whether or not they called the child hotline. Now, why is it important for police officers to call the state's hotline when they encounter a child like this? Well, first of all, they're mandated reporters by law. And second, it's a third-degree felony if you're a mandated reporter and you don't. But regardless, the issue becomes that now we've got a separate system where kids who are in danger perhaps are being shuffled into the federal system. And in the federal system, there's no judicial review. A judge doesn't look over the decision to separate you from your parents. In the Florida system, there is. No kid gets removed from their family in the Florida system without a judge reviewing that removal within 24 hours. So there's a lack of judicial review here, and a difficult precedent is being set. And I would add, Teddy, this is occurring despite promises from Florida lawmakers that nothing would change.
And then one of the things that you also mentioned in the article was about sponsorship, in that now many people are unwilling to come forward for fear that their own detention could be imminent if that happens. So what does that leave as options for children who are now caught in this system with no one here that can provide any shelter or just a normal way of living for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the example that we wrote about, Carlos was pretty lucky because his aunt was had legal status, was a green card holder, right? But in a lot of instances, we ran into examples of kids in the shelter system who had an aunt, who had a parent in the country who could take care of them, but that parent or aunt or relative was afraid to come forward because if they did, they knew they'd get nabbed and deported. So that means that these kids often are interacting with the federal shelter system in a manner which leads them to choose to self-deport. The federal shelter system is not set up in such a way as to be like a foster home or in such a way as to be long-term housing for kids in this kind of situation. And a lot of the kids in it are choosing to just go back.
And then in the article too, it had a ICE agent stating that parents can be given a choice, that either their child could be deported or they have to leave them in the care of another adult. So is there no other option that allows for families that may be only involved in minor offenses to be reunited, or is this kind of where immigration is at this point in time?
Yeah, it's a much more exacting and difficult process to get these kids out of the OR shelter system. And it's completely new that they're being put into the shelter system from within the interior of the country, that families are getting separated like this. So we're in uncharted waters in I guess the application of federal immigration standards to this class of kids. I should note that the last time families were being separated was at the border, right? During the last Trump administration, there was a lawsuit. A federal judge put a stop to it. And even today, if a family shows up or if an unaccompanied kid shows up at the border, they're not separated from their family, right? Because the administration is still following the precedent in that lawsuit and that agreement. But the lawsuit didn't say anything about the interior of the United States, and that's where the separations are occurring.
Mario Ariza from ProPublica, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us about this.
Thank you so much, Teddy. I really appreciate the attention to the reporting and the journalistic work that you do.
All right, well, have a great day. Coming up, from art walks to Christmas musicals, we're breaking down all the celebrations, bringing the holiday cheer throughout Southwest Florida. A Florida landmark, Matlacha, was left in shambles following a trail of destruction from Hurricane Ian. The main road was torn and tattered. Most businesses were severely damaged, including many one-of-a-kind art galleries. But the spirit of the community hasn't faltered, and as WGCU's Samuel Brucker reports, local artists are continuing the recovery by bringing back a popular tradition that highlights Matlacha's vivacious lifestyle.
Take a step into Matlacha's revived art walk, where more than 30 vendors from across Southwest Florida line streets, alongside over 10 local businesses, all greeted by hundreds from near and far, coming to experience and support the historic fishing village's unwavering charm. The colorful, old Florida-style boutiques are drawing crowds again, just 3 years and a couple months after Ian nearly wiped the town off the map, and more than 1 year after Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Angela Swaringham from Oklahoma is one of those visitors drawn to Matlacha's charm.
I'm just impressed with their camaraderie for each other and their love for each other. Very endearing. Loved it. When we came back right after the last hurricane, we were devastated for them.
Hurricane Ian battered Matlacha in 2022, a record-breaking storm that inundated the historic fishing village with surge levels surpassing 14 feet and sustained winds of 145 miles per hour.
And we just stood there looking at this empty space that the road was completely gone. It was completely washed away. So it was just devastation. It just talking about it 3 years later kind of, brings that trauma back in my heart. Like, it makes me, I do want to cry.
Jennifer Bennett, owner of Island Flair, says the hurricanes also devastated the artist community's morale, preventing local artists from supporting themselves and their families. The town was seeing a rebirth until last spring with the death of renowned local artist Leoma Lovegrove from stage 4 breast cancer.
That is something that we really need. We need Leoma color back in this town, and they're bringing it back.
Sarah Cushman, general manager of the Lovegrove Matlacha Gallery, says Lovegrove attracted visitors with her vibrant artwork, along with other artists who were rebuilding and seeing a revival, especially in this past year of no storms.
She was my best friend. Nah, I can't explain it. Matlacha has had some major comebacks as far as businesses opening up and traffic coming back and people coming back, and there's just a lot to be done, and there's a lot of Leoma to go around, and we've got a lot of work to do.
This is the Art Walk's main goal: reviving and resurrecting the vibrancy, color, and morale of Matlacha, all inspired by Leoma Lovegrove.
So the Art Walk was about reviving the area, reviving Matlacha, letting people know that we're still here.
Sharon Caskey from Oklahoma says she is happy to see the soul of Matlacha is still sailing.
Hi, it's a loving community. It's so strong in friendship. They are. Yes, the family that has rebuilt and supported each other. I love seeing all the local support here, as well as people like us that come back to support these businesses.
All right, folks, you heard it here. Art Walk is back, happening from 5 to 8 every second Friday of every single month. If you didn't come to this one, don't be afraid, like I said. The next one is going to be on December 12th, 5 to 8. Make sure you bring a bag, a chair, so that you can vibe with the musicians and catch some coastal breezes. For WGCU, I'm Samuel Brucker.
There are countless traditions that ensure the holiday season remains festive. Think sleigh rides or sipping on hot cocoa. But one of the popular choices heading out to the theater to catch a seasonal performance that embodies the joys and celebration of the winter months. And to learn more about the can't-miss shows happening throughout Southwest Florida, we are joined by the festive WGCU Arts and Culture reporter Tom Hall. Tom, thank you so much for joining us.
I am thrilled to be here.
So I think when you think of the holiday season, one of the first shows that comes to mind has to be Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, and that seems to be the most in-demand performance. I think you said that there are 27 performances by 8 different ballet companies in our area.
There are. And I think one of the reasons that the Nutcracker is what it is beyond Tchaikovsky's beautiful score and the exceptional dancing costumes and sets, this is a ballet that really triggers fond Christmas memories. It starts off with a party scene under a beautiful Christmas tree, but the other secret is there are a ton of roles for kids. And so, the involvement of all the kids really, I think, makes this a popular show. It truly is a ballet for everyone.
And I think everyone has seen it at some point in some shape or form, and that is by far not the only performance though happening in this area. Now, there are 19 different Christmas-based shows happening from Sarasota to Marco. So what would you say then are some of your can't-miss productions that are coming up this season?
When you talk about can't miss, 3 shows come to mind. The first would be White Christmas. And there are actually 2 different productions of that. Gulf Shore Playhouse is doing it right now to the 21st. And then it opens at Cultural Park Theater in Cape Coral on the 12th. And for that one, you've got all of the standard Irving Berlin melodies that people remember. Blue Skies, Sisters, and of course, White Christmas that Bing Crosby made famous. But really the greatest number in that particular musical opens Act 2. It's a tap dance extravaganza called I Love a Piano. It's absolutely sensational for anybody who loves tap dancing. And the formula that they use in that show is really kind of intriguing. 2 boys meet 2 girls, win the girls, then lose them, and then get the girls back. So it's kind of a riff on Cole Porter's formula in all of the shows that he used to do. So that's one show that really is a no-brainer. There are 2 musical reviews that I think are exceptional. One is called Home for the Holidays. That was written by Mark Danny, and it takes place at Theater Zone, December 19th through the 21st. And over at Player Circle Theater, I think through the 20th, is Bob Cassiopo's Ho, 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 the Christmas Show. So that's another good one. And then the last one is for anybody who is a Charles Dickens fan. A Christmas Carol opens at Fort Myers Theater on the 11th, but for this one, they've set it to music. And when I say they, I mean Alan Menken and Lynn Ahrens. Now, if you don't know those names, Alan Menken is Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Little Shop of Horrors, and Lynn Ahrens' credits are Ragtime, Seussical, and Once on This Island. So it's really a strong show with very memorable musical numbers.
I was going to say that's going to be something that's going to be a little bit different here than not what you expect for the traditional Christmas sounds, kind of maybe mixing it up and making it a little more unique.
Exactly.
So what about shows for like the kiddos? A lot of kids are going to be home from school soon, parents, grandparents looking for those performances that are good for all ages. Is there anything like that on the horizon?
Again, 3 shows come to mind. The first takes place at the Florida Repertory Theater. They're doing a show called Jingle and Mingle, a children's holiday cabaret. And that is going to involve 40 students from their Florida Rep education program, ages 5 to 16. And under the direction of Monique Caldwell and Rachel Leonard with music by Earl Sparrow, here's some of the numbers that they'll be performing. Christmas Time is Here, the Peanuts favorite. You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, Little Drummer Boy, and of course, I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. So that's at Florida Rep. If you travel up to Sarasota, in the Keating Theater, the Florida Studio Theater is doing Deck the Halls. Think palm trees wrapped in Christmas lights and sand snowmen. It's a way to show how we celebrate both Christmas and Hanukkah, Southwest Florida style. And then the last show, for anyone who's ever loved the movie A Christmas Story, well, Broadway Palm is bringing that to life on stage. So the kiddos will really love that one.
I think parents will too. I mean, that's one that I grew up on, couldn't miss it every holiday season there. And then so as I was perusing the WGCU app, I was going through the extensive outlines that you have laid for both the Nutcracker, theater performances, and musical performances. And then there was a couple of the, we'll call them outside the box holiday shows. And I think the one that has drawn the most of my attention right now that I might have to get a ticket for is the Clown Bar Christmas.
And when you see it, it will be one that you will remember for the rest of your life. Clown Bar Christmas sounds just like what it says. It's clowns in a bar at Christmas. But actually, there's kind of a lot to this particular show. But what I think audiences are going to really appreciate are the parodies. The clowns parody pretty much all of our favorite Christmas songs and Christmas stories. For example, they go gangsta with The Night Before Christmas. So that's an interesting variation. And Clown Bar also jumps on the let's parody Hallmark Christmas movies bandwagon. They have a scene in there that takes place at a Christmas tree farm where everything that can go wrong goes awry, again, clown style. So this is definitely a show. If you're looking for something way, way, way out of the normal, Clown Bar Christmas at Lab Theater is your ticket.
So there's something for everyone, no matter what you're looking at to enjoy. You can find it, and you can head to WGCU.org and get a full list of every show that's coming up as well.
Yeah, find our guides. You'll have a list of all 77 shows this season that you can choose from. So whether your shtick is ballet, the theater, or concert performances, there's something for everyone this season in Southwest Florida.
Well, I'm sure it's going to keep you busy going up in the near future there. So thank you for joining us. And Tom, have a happy holidays.
And quit clowning around.
I'll try.
Okay.
Well, after the break, building a better community one lesson at a time. Generation of students reunite to share the legacy created at Dunbar High School. When Dunbar High School opened its doors nearly a century ago, it was designed to offer the Black community of Southwest Florida the opportunity to have the same educational standards as everyone else. But the institution grew into something more, providing a lasting legacy for the Dunbar area and the countless students who grace the hallways. As WGCU's Bryant Monte shares, generations of Dunbar graduates reunite every other year to express their appreciation for a school that helped reshape the neighborhood and their lives.
I love it. I love going to school. I had nice teachers, principals. I just had a good time. I hated leaving school because I knew I had to go to work.
At 102 years old, Haywood Lee Baskin has seen a lot in her life and in her neighborhood near the old Dunbar High School. a member of the class of 1941, and who many call Miss Pete. She was the oldest Dunbar graduate to attend the biannual reunion to celebrate special memories, school pride, and to honor the legacy of tradition.
We've had some great leaders in the community that, of course, graduated from Dunbar. It's a school that ties everybody to it because somebody, I don't care how young you are, either your grandparent or your great-grandparent actually went to Dunbar. So growing up, that's all you heard about. That was the community school. It's Dunbar High.
This year's celebration marked the 98th anniversary of the original building opening. The construction of Dunbar High School was a landmark accomplishment for the Black community. Prior to its opening, public education for Black children in Lee County was limited to the 8th grade. But the new school meant Black students could now receive 4 years of high school education. I'm standing here on the grounds of the old Dunbar High School, which these doors were once opened for the first time back in 1927. It was unique in the sense that it served African-American high school students for 3 different counties, Lee, Collier, and Charlotte counties.
We went through some rough times when we had second-handed books. We didn't have the materials that other parts of the community had, but still we had that pride that no matter what, we were going to be successful, and our teachers told us that.
During segregation, Black students were given hand-me-down books, supplies, and equipment from white schools.
Even to the band, we had uniforms that were passed down, books that were passed down. And we would get books that had all kinds of profanity. And it was just a horrible thing.
Even with the challenges of the times, Dunbar graduates may never forget the lasting lessons.
You couldn't be late. If you were late, Mr. Salters was standing at the sidewalk waiting. If that last bell caught you without your foot on that sidewalk, he tapped you.
They wanted you to work hard and be quiet. And our homeroom teacher, her name was Elizabeth Mann, she would threaten to throw us out the window if we wasn't quiet. That was one of the fun memories.
But many alumni agree. Teachers and administrators would remind the students that education was the key to achievement.
We had teachers who really cared about us, who wanted us to do our best, be our best, and strive for the best. You were expected to be on your best behavior and always to treat others as you wanted to be treated.
This year's theme for the reunion was Bridging the Gap, connecting older alumni to more recent graduates. No matter the age or generation, the Tiger pride runs deep.
What made it memorable for me is having a high school in an area that people may look down upon, but then you have the people in the high school that are taking the city to the next heights.
I feel like Dunbar brings the best out of people, and it encourages us to be bold, and it really helps us learn how to be successful.
Achievement is the expectation.
While the building and people might have changed throughout the years, one component has stayed constant. For the past 26 years, Dunbar has been led by Principal Carl Burnside.
It's history, where it was a school that had a legacy of having students who were achieving in spite of the challenges that existed in society at the time. And then when it reopened, it took those challenges and raised it into another level.
The next reunion in 2027 will be Dunbar High School's centennial anniversary. The orange and green represents a lasting presence, an enduring legacy. And when it comes to aging with grace and timeless influence, Miss Pete shares this simple wisdom.
Just pray. Be nice to people.
For WGCU News, I'm Bryant Monte.
Dunbar High School was named after the famous Black poet, novelist, and short story writer Paul Laurence Dunbar. His work became the voice for the African-American experience in the United States during his time. And coming up next week, Florida braces for the return of the black bear hunt. While some voice concerns over the impact it will have on the bear population, proponents say this will promote a healthier ecosystem. Well, thank you for joining us, and make sure to download the WGCU app or visit WGCU.org, where you'll find all of our stories plus extended interviews. And have a great weekend, and join us again here next week on Southwest Florida in Focus.
Thanks for watching. We've got more great content for you, from news to the arts to the environment. So be sure to like and subscribe to WGCU's YouTube channel and follow us on our social media platforms for the stories that matter to you.